Hello, friends. How are we doing today? All right, so I'm popping in for a Monday kind of training. Just a Monday kind of training. I am very excited about how this month is going. You guys are doing big things, and I'm loving it. And so I know that we have some people who have done some sponsoring lately, and I want to be able to help you guys in running reports. So today is going to be an Excel basics or like a 101 overview of Excel and what you need for it. All right, so I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen and we are going to jump right in. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, we're gonna do the entire screen. I'll just do it that way. It's fine. It's all fine. It's all fine. Okay. Here we go. All right. So, hi, welcome to my computer. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna minimize. Oh no, I want to go over here. All right. So, um, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna log into our workstation. Hopefully, you all are very well versed in how to do that. I'm gonna go ahead, log in. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to reporting. And so if you go to your reporting tab and click on my performance, yours is probably going to look a little bit different than mine simply because I'm a star director. So I have groups and I have my group, which is me and everyone, including my directors and their teams included. And then my team is literally me without any directors. Okay. So that means I am the director slash star director for my team. That's the difference between team and group. So you don't have to worry about that until you get to your director title. And then as soon as you have your very first director, then that's when things are going to change. So until then, just your team and your group are going to remain the same. So I just wanted to kind of help out with that a little bit. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to run. Now, I already have reports that are saved, and I have these simply for training purposes. But you do see there are other reports that I have done that I have saved in here. And I'm going to show you starting from the test version, simply because if I pull up any of the others, it's going to give names and consultant ID numbers and emails and addresses and everything else of the people in my team or my group. And I'm not here to share everybody else's info. What you see from me is what you're seeing from me. So I'm pulling this up, and this is again just to show you a test of what it actually looks like. Now, for all of us, me included, whenever I'm running reports, of course, I'm going to have the name included, but for testing purposes or training purposes in this case, you'll see that's why I do not have one. All right, but if at any time you want to create a report that you can then go back to and try again, go to additional filter options, right? So I'm actually going to go and we're going to look at March. We're going to look at March. I'm going to click on additional filter options. And maybe I want to see the people who did at least $1 and did a minimum of, no, let's do $4.99. So the people who could have possibly gotten to leadership numbers, which is 500 PRV a month, right? So I could do that and I could save it. So I just want to look at those people. I'm going to go ahead and take that out though, because today, let's just focus on running it all. I'm going to go ahead and leave all of that in here, but you can see here, If I really wanted to go in here and say, hey, I just want to see people who have a minimum of one, sponsored at least one person, I could do that, right? All of these things I can change. If I just want to look at birthdays, if I want to look at join dates, if I want to look at just titles, right? Maybe I only want to look at lead consultants, star consultants. Maybe I really want to focus on just them. So you can see here how you can truly customize this to whatever it is you're looking for. Once you get to what you want, then what you do is you hit run report. That's going to run your report. And then if you want to choose visible columns, which you probably will, you're going to go to choose visible columns and you'll see everything here on the left side is everything that I have that's going to populate in my report. On the right side are all of the additional columns that I can add. And you'll see there's quite a few, right? Now, of course, the main one being name, I'm not going to include it, but if I wanted to, I could just click on the plus sign here and I would include the name, right? Again, when I'm working in my reports, of course, that's how I normally do it, is by name. But for this purpose, of course, name is not here. If I wanted to include their shooting star date or their sensational start date, I could do that. Cell phone, if maybe I'm going to add them to project broadcast, I want to do that for this example because that would be sharing someone else's info, right? But you get my point, right? I can come in here and I can add anything over that I'd like. I'm going to keep it the way it is because everything is generic here and that's what I need it for this purpose. But I'm going to go ahead and click Save Report. And you can see I've just named mine Monthly Team Test. So maybe this is your mid-month check-in. Maybe you change those settings to everybody who has at least one PRV all the way to 1,000 PRV. Maybe you just want to look at those consultants. Maybe you just want to look to see whoever is active or above, right? So your minimum in the PRV field would be 200. Your maximum would be nothing. You don't have to put anything in there. So anything that would be 200 or above that someone's done, those would be the only people who would show. So hopefully that kind of helps you. Click Save. Again, name it whatever you would like. All right, so we've done that. We've saved our entire thing here. Now, because I want to work with some larger numbers, I'm going to go ahead again. I'm going to default it to March. Okay, so we're going to go back to March. And now what I want to do, because we're going to talk all about Excel today, I'm going to click Export to Excel. Now, I will tell you this right here and right now. I have Microsoft Office Suite. I have that, and so I can access it from all my devices. To be completely honest with you, I really only use Excel when I'm at the computer. It's just much easier that way. If I had a MacBook or a laptop, I probably would use it on that. But I have my Mac computer. I have an Apple iPad. I have my phone, right? So those are my devices. For my iPad, for me, when I click on Export to Excel, it will actually, I can open it up in Google Sheets, which is a free program. So if you don't have Excel, or if you have an iPad or what have you, and you're just like, I don't have all the Microsoft stuff and I don't want to buy it, all the things, just do that and open it in Google Sheets. You can do that for free. You can still do most of the same things. Excel is a little bit more in depth, but honestly, if you're just pulling reports, then it's going to be perfectly fine. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what you can do if you do not have Excel, okay? So like I said, that's what I normally do if I'm on my iPad and working and pulling reports. But I'm on the computer today, so I'm going to actually open Excel. So I downloaded the file, and you'll see it still keeps the same title, PRV, TWV, GWV, all the things, right, that were on that original report. Let me go back here just so you can see that, right? Title, PRV, all those things, right? So again, if I find out, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this Excel spreadsheet and I'm like, oh geez, I want to be able to text them too. And now I have to go back and look up their phone numbers, right? No, you don't. You can just run a new report. Come back over here to your reporting page. Click on cell phone. Some people put it as their home phone. So normally I will click both cell phone and home phone, and then click OK, and then run the report again. Okay. So if you forget something, it's not a big deal. And then just hit that save report button again, and it'll save it for you. All right, so let's go over a little bit about Excel. So for a lot of people, I know Excel can be very overwhelming. And trust me, like I said, it can be very, very, very much in depth. When I was working for a larger health system, I did a lot of training. And a lot of my trainings, I actually did Excel training programs. So we went all the way from beginner all the way to pro. All right. So I will tell you that you can literally do anything you want with Excel. But for those of you who don't quite have the need for all of that, you just want to be able to run reports and you want to be able to run them effectively, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks and ways that you can utilize this to be easier for you. All right, so first and foremost, so I've got columns. So there's a difference between columns and rows. So you'll see A, B, C, all the way across the whole alphabet, right? Everything down that's now shaded in gray. That, my friends, is what we call a column. If I come over here to the left and click on one of the numbers, that is a row. All right, so you have a row and you have a column. All right, these are important. Let's say that what I want to do is I want to actually make this so it's a little bit more readable. I don't know, user friendly. You can see how my mouse, as I kind of glide across it, you see how it has that back and forth. So when it does that, I click and I drag and I pull it over. I want to do the same thing here. Click and drag, pull it over so I can make these columns just a little bit smaller. So they're just a little bit easier. So I'm just going to pull all those in. Look at how nice and neat it's looking. It looks so good. Okay. We're going to pull all this over. Now, let's take a look at something here real quick before we dive in further. Remember, this says active front or active front line, right? That's what that really means. But you can see on here, I can only see ACTV, right? What the heck? If I come up here and click the button wrap text, then what that is going to do is that's actually going to make it wrap around in the cell. Each one of these little boxes is called a cell, okay? All right, so I want to do that again here. Wrap text. New recruits will terminate. That means that if they don't get 200 this month, that they will no longer be an active Scentsy consultant. They would have to go inactive, and then they could always rejoin at a later date if they so choose. So that's a little quick way, right? So now this is a lot easier for you to maybe look at, all right? Another thing maybe you'd like to do is maybe you want to come over here and you want to make these bolder. I can click the bold button. So just like we do in any of our applications, right? You can change this text. You can do whatever you'd like. You can change the font. You can change the size. You can do all the fancy things depending on, and I'll be completely honest, I really don't change the text or the font or anything like that when I'm in Excel because 9 times out of 10, I'm just using it to use it and then I'm getting out of it. I don't save any reports on my devices simply because I can always go to my workstation and pull that report anytime I want to. If it's something I can duplicate later, I don't need to save it. And that's the beautiful thing with our workstation, right? Like I can go to any month over here. Maybe I want to go all the way back to January and look at January's numbers. I can do that with just a couple clicks, right? I can go back to January, run report, and it's going to actually run me the report for January and what January looked like. And then what I would do is as soon as it finishes loading, maybe it was just a really great month, or it's just slow today. Once it finishes loading, then I would click again, export to Excel, and I'd have the whole report right then and there, right? I'd be able to pull it up and look at it just as the one that I'm looking at today. So while that's running in the background, we'll just let it go. All right, now what I want to do is, again, I want to make this more user-friendly, right? So when you're talking about PRV, at least for those of us in the US, right, we're usually talking dollars. So I like to make them dollars. So you'll see that if I go over here, accounting number format, it's already there. I just click the dollars. Now, I'm so glad that I did this because, again, I have a lot of questions when this happens. You'll see I have a whole bunch of pound signs. What the heck? What just happened? All right, that just means that the number's a little too big for that cell. So I need to just scooch it over. So you just come over here with your cursor, click and drag, make it a little bit bigger. It's a good thing when you got to make the columns bigger, right? Because you're working with bigger numbers. That's good. All right, so now I have it here, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at this just a little closer, shall we? So let's do this. Let me zoom in just a little bit here. Make this a little bigger. Okay. You'll see that as this goes, watch the first person, it starts with 390 PRV, 314. This is 1,605, right? All the way down. You'll notice it's not in order, right? Maybe I want it to go from largest to smallest because I want to see who did the top PRV versus who did the least PRV, right? So if I click on a column and I've highlighted the entire column, not just a cell, not just a couple of them, click and drag to do that, right? But the whole column of B, all right? When I do that, now when I go back to my home up here, I can go over and I can go to sort and filter. And if I go down, I can sort smallest to largest. So that would give me any of the nulls or zeros first and then up, or I can do largest to smallest. Obviously, I want to see largest to smallest for me. It's just the way that I like to do things. This is asking me that basically what this means is the things in each row, right? If I just do this one, it's asking me, do I just want the entire column or do I want the entire spreadsheet? I want the whole selection, okay? I don't want just this column because that would then throw off all of these other numbers. They wouldn't match and their name wouldn't match their PRV. So that's what you want. Click sort. And here we go. So this is now giving me from my top PRV for March all the way down to the people who had null or zero PRV. Okay. So you can see I'm going through all the way down. Those dashes just indicate that there's nothing there, right? There's nothing to report. So that's okay. That's, you know, not everybody's working this as a business. That's quite all right. And everybody has, you know, not so great months. It happens to the best of us, trust me. But now here it is. And like I said, we want to pretend that I have a name column in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a name column just so we have something to work with. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to click insert column. And then I'm just going to name it name and I'm going to say Jane. So Buddy, Brenda, I don't know. I'm literally making up names here, right? And so maybe I'd just go down, right? And obviously that's there just so we know who we're talking about, right? And who we're recognizing. So maybe I want to sit here and I want to look to see who are my top 20 in sales for the month of March. So if I click at this top cell, this is the cell that I want to start with, and I want to go to 20. What I want to show you is I could sit here and count on my fingers. Okay, I could do that. I could. But Excel is smart, right? This tells me right here underneath my mouse, it says count 20. That means I have selected 20 cells. So that tells me I've got my top 20 right there. Boom. Really easy, right? If I wanted to include the sum of all of those columns, so my top 20 people, they sold $21,864.95 in PRV, personal retail volume, okay? So that's kind of just a really easy way to take a look to see what is going on. So for example, when I'm doing my team shout outs, I will come through and I will export to Excel. Now, normally I'm doing the name column. Okay, I'll be honest, I'll do the name column, right? But I want to go, well, it's not going to count because there's nothing there. I want to go all the way to my top 50, right? So I just keep pulling down until I get to 50. And usually I take myself and Lisa, our director, out, right? But so I'd go down to 52, but either way. So you'll see down there, I already know that I'm at 50. So that's just a really quick and easy way to look at it. All right, so there's one thing. All right, so we know that. Now maybe what I want to see is now I'm looking, okay, I've shouted out my top PRV people. Now maybe I want to shout out the people who have sponsored in the month, right? So I want to see those numbers first. So now I come over here, I highlight the entire column of I, and then I go over here to sort and filter. Again, I'm going to select largest to smallest. And again, I want to do the entire selection, not just the current, the entire sheet. Okay. Click sort. And you'll see now I have everybody who sponsored one or more new team members. And there they are. So then I would go to the names over there and I would pull their names. If I've got their cell phones listed in here and I want to send them a quick text, I could do that, right? Import that into my project broadcast. If I've got their email addresses on this report, right, I could highlight their email addresses and then just very quickly copy and paste and then send out a quick email. Numerous ways that you could do this. All right. So that's how you actually sort your columns. Those are the most frequently used, I would say, probably for most of you in your business. Let's see here. So we've done the sorting. I've shown you how to put the dollar signs in. What else do I really need to show you here? Let's see here. Maybe I just want to see the people who are going to terminate this month. Again, this is more of a search or a sortation, right? So I want to sort this. I'm going to say from Z to A because that's going to give me T's first. Sort. So those were the people in March. Again, obviously in real life, right? I would, of course, have all the names there, so I would know exactly who I'm talking to. But those are the people who, if they didn't hit 200 PRV in the month, we're going to deactivate as a consultant, right? So those people are somebody who I would probably want to reach out to, right? And just give them a heads up. Let me see here. So we've got that. Now let's filter. We've sorted. Let's filter. All right. So again, I'm going to select the whole column because this is the column that I'm working with, right? You see, that's my title column. So I'm going to come over here to our favorite thing, sort and filter, and I'm going to click on filter. Now, when I do that, it didn't really seem like it did anything, right? But what it did is it gave me a little down chevron over here in the column. So I'm going to click on that. When I click that, it's going to give me all of the different titles that I have listed. So I'm going to unselect all, and maybe I just want to work with my lead consultants, right? I want to look to see where are my lead consultants and what are they doing? How can I best help that group of people? So I just click on that, select that one, and I can click off. And now you'll see everybody else went away. Look at how short my report got, right? These are all my people who are at a title of lead consultants. So with these people, right, I would be looking at a couple of different things. First and foremost, I'd probably want to look at their team size. What is their team size looking at, right? So everybody who is a lead consultant for the month of March has at least one team member, right? Because there's a team of 2. Everybody equals themselves plus 1, right? Plus everybody else. So everybody has at least 1. These are my lead consultants. Look at these guys here who actually have sponsored during the month, right? That's growth. That's a really, really good thing that we like to see. Or I'm sorry, active frontline. Active frontline. Sorry, I'm skipping columns. So active or new recruits. Sorry. So those are the people who are actively recruiting. Active frontline. So that tells you how many frontline they have active. Now you guys probably know if you are a lead or above, that in order to be paid a title, you have to have certain things, right? So when we are talking about a lead consultant has to have a minimum of 500 PRV. That's actually what anybody has to have in order to earn their bonus, right? What they also have to have is they also have to have a GWV or a group wholesale volume of 1,000 or more, and they need at least one active frontline. So the first thing I would do is I would come through here and I would say, okay, who's already at 1,000 PRV, right? And maybe I would come up here. I'm going to click on their name. So I choose their row, and then I'm going to click on here, and you can see if I highlight over it, it just says fill color, highlight over. If I just have my mouse over it, it will say fill color. That's me highlighting the page, right? So I'm going to highlight those people. Those are my people that I'm looking at, right? These people have at least 1,000, right? I'd go through and I'd do the whole group of them. They have at least 1,000, right? It just makes it a little bit easier for me to see them when they're highlighted. I don't know about you guys, but it does for me, right? Okay, so let's not forget this one. We're already going, we're going pretty good. Okay. All right. So now I've highlighted those people. Now I know that they at least have the minimum. First of all, PRV. This person here, they don't have a minimum of 500 PRV, right? So first and foremost, I'd be saying, hey, don't forget, if you want to be paid a title, you need to at least get in 500 PRV this month. So how can you work on your personal sales? These people have already gotten over 500, so that ticks that box. They are all over 1,000, that ticks that box. Now for active frontline, they at least have to have one active frontline, right? So that's one person on their team who has 200 PRV or more, right? So those people there, this person does not, this person does, right? So this person does not. So in this case, I would be reaching out to Cindy or whoever this is, right? And I'd say, hey, Cindy, oh my gosh, you're having a spectacular month when it comes to your personal sales, your team. Wow, all 4 of those people underneath you, we need to get them working because I need you to get at least one active frontline so you can get paid a title this month, right? That's when our bonuses kick in. That's when we're going to have a bigger paycheck. That's when the magic happens. So that would be somebody I'd want to reach out to. So that's why it's really a great tool to be able to utilize Excel. Or again, you could do kind of basically the same things. It's just going to look a little different when you're in Google Sheets. Okay. So that's just one way that you could utilize this. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and I'm going to select all. I'm going to bring everybody back in. All right. I'm going to just keep those highlighted now just for the sake of highlighting. I am going to go ahead and take off the filter. Maybe I'm done with that, which I am. So I'm just going to highlight the column again, go back over to filter and uncheck filter box. That now takes that off. So that little down chevron is gone. Now I can come back over here. I can go to sort, largest to smallest. Yes, expand the selection. So again, now I've got my top PRV and down. So you'll see that that's where, right, you can really start drilling in. Maybe you just want to look at your 200 and above people. Maybe you really just want to celebrate them. You want to shout them out. That's when you could come in here. You could run a report, include either their email or their phone number. And that way you would easily have a list of those people. So I can, again, I can save this to my computer if I would like. Maybe I'm done working for the day, but I want to come back to it later. Then maybe I would save it. But for most times, I kind of come in here, I run my report, I get the info out of it that I need, and then I just delete it. Because again, I can recreate this at any time. I can always go back to my workstation. I can always rerun the report. Let's see here. So maybe a couple other things that you want to do. If you're somebody who prints things out, okay, if you were, I'm so sorry. If you were to print this out right now, even though on the screen, this looks like gray boxes, they're not going to show up. They're not like real boxes, right? Okay. So maybe I want to make them boxes. So that way, when I print it out, it's all pretty and it's all in little boxes. So we want that. So up here, you'll see this little guy here. This is our border. So if I click on the down chevron, I've got lots of options. I can just give it a left border, a top border, a right border. I want all borders. Okay, that's probably going to be the one that you're going to use the most. And this is probably what you're used to seeing when you see an Excel spreadsheet, right? You see all the blocks. But again, if you're going to print this and use this, maybe highlight on it, write on it, keep it as a running whatever, for your systems, then I highly suggest going there and clicking on all borders, because that way when it prints out, you're going to get all the borders. Otherwise, you're just going to get a piece of paper with just the info. You're not going to have these little boxes around it, and it's going to make it a little harder to see it on a piece of paper. Okay. Let's see, what else do we need to do here? I really honestly think that's probably the basic of the basics. Your sort and filter, right? That's going to really be like a really key guy. Remember, when you are sorting, that you want to highlight the column that you want to sort by, right? So if you're sorting by PRV, that's the column you want to highlight. Click sort filter, go largest to smallest, hit sort. Now it's not going to change because I'm already there, but you get the point, right? All right, so we can do that. You can wrap the text. If, again, it really helps more or less. I mean, I don't necessarily do this when I'm, just running my weekly reports, because I already know what those columns are. But if you're printing this out, again, that wrap text is going to be a little bit more friendly, because it's going to look like that when you print it out. Now, of course, you can come in here and you can get all kinds of fancy, okay? You can come in here, highlight all of those, center them all at once, right? Anything that you do where you click and drag, right? You're going to select all of those things. Maybe you want to center all of those in each column. Who knows what you want to do, right? Whatever makes it look the best. If you mess up, oh my gosh, don't worry. There's an undo button. So just click the undo. Click the undo. All right, page layout. Maybe you want to print this, but you want this to be landscape instead of portrait, right? Portrait is up and down. Landscape is side to side. It kind of shows you that picture there. So if I click landscape, that's going to tell me, see these little dotted lines here? That's going to show me where a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So if I were to print this off from my computer right now, it's going to go from here to here, right? Because that's in between those dotted lines. So I could maybe say, oh my gosh, I've got room here. I can put in a whole nother column of email, and I can put me@gmail.com, right? I can put all that in there. When I did that, notice it went over that line. What would I need to do? Do you remember what you would need to do? So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go back to my home, and I'm going to click wrap text. Okay. And then I might need to pull it out. Look, see, now it's going to go over. So I would need to maybe squeeze something else in. Here we go. Now I'm within my dotted lines. So, but the only thing I would need to do now is maybe select all of that, go to my all borders. Remember, click that down chevron. If it's not there, click all borders. That way you'll get your lines when it prints out. Okay. All right. So that's how you can add things in, and that's how you know what is going to print out and how it's going to look when you actually print it, right? Those dotted lines are showing me. For me, I will tell you, when the very few times, because it's very rarely that I do it, that I do print out from Excel, I usually do it in a landscape portion or a layout. So that's just easier for me to really think about. But if I go back and I click on portrait, you'll see there's that dotted line there. So now I would know it would cut that piece off, and it would actually print on a whole nother piece of paper. Formulas, I'm not going to get into today. Honestly, if you're really looking at formulas, then you're kind of far beyond to a beginner course here. Really, it's just going to add up columns for you, give you averages, gives you sums, all the things, right? But you're really not going to need that. Data, there's really nothing there that you're really going to need, honestly. Same thing with review or with view. Draw, if you're going to do something spectacular there, you're probably not going to do it in Excel. Let me be honest with you. You're probably going to do it somewhere else. If you wanted to add shapes, add something in here, I don't know, make it really fancy, you totally could. I just do not. But when you're on that home tab, you really have the majority of what you're going to need up here in your toolbar, okay? Yours might, again, look maybe a little bit different than mine, but we just may have different versions. But all in all, that's what it's going to look like. All right. So we know how to sort. We know how to highlight. We know what a row is. We know what a column is. We know how to filter now. We've kind of gone over everything that we really need to go over when it comes to really working with Excel in your business. Okay. So that's what those are. Hopefully this has helped you guys a little bit, given you a little bit of background on what it looks like. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. I don't think so. I had a little checklist that I was using. I think we pretty much covered it all. All right. If you guys have questions outside of what we've gone over, I will be more than happy to answer those questions for you. So feel free to drop those down. If you found this helpful, or if you know somebody who's struggling, who wants to run reports and really start working from reports, like I said, you can do this in your workstation perfectly fine. It's not a big deal. But for me, I can manipulate the data easier when it's in Excel. All right. So I can get in there, I can sort it, I can add columns, I can delete columns, I can do all that fun stuff. So Tuesdays are a main day because I do run team reports and group reports there, right, to do shout outs. Another time that you might be thinking, like, when would I really use reports? Maybe you're a newer leader. I will tell you right here and now, the first of the month, the middle of the month, and the end of the month. Make it a habit. Run those reports. You want to be able, the reporting aspect of our workstation is just so amazing. And the fact that it gives us as leaders the opportunity to really drill in and look to see where our teams are at. So like I said, in one of the examples when we were looking at Excel, right? Maybe I want to sort out just the people who have one PRV to 199, right? So that's somebody who has at least had one order or entered one party or something, right? But they're not quite at active, right? You want to be able to say, hey, by the way, maybe they don't know. And this has happened a lot, right? Where especially now that we have a lot more of our licensed items, right? The PRV is a little bit different than just a straight dollar amount, okay? So they may think, oh, I put in that order and it was over $200, so I'm sure I'm active. But maybe they had licensed products in there or charitable items, right? And those PRV differences are going to make a difference, right? And so when you reach out saying, oh my gosh, you're at 190 and you need to hit 200 by the end of the month to be active, right? Your team member's really going to be thankful for that. They're going to be thankful and be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I had no idea. I didn't even realize I was off that much, right? Or you're looking at those people to see how you can help them get closer to that promotion, get closer to be paid at title, right? You want to be able to look for those things. So that's why the Excel formats or Google Sheets will really give you the ability to manipulate that data and just see it on a wider scale. So I hope that that has given you guys who have been asking for this some help. Like I said, if you have questions, don't hesitate, drop them down below. I'll do my best to answer those as quickly as I can. And yeah, so there we go. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Share this with your team members if this will be helpful to them. And I will see you all later. Bye.